What's up, traders? Today we're going to talk about a stock that I absolutely love and I believe is the best company in the world right now as we speak. And we'll also talk about a recent event that has made me even more bullish on this stock. And then lastly, we may look at a potential trade within the Moomoo platform. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Rashad. I am a full-time options trader, and I've been blessed to be able to bring in full-time income from the stock market. But please, pretty please do me a huge favor and go ahead and hit that like button. That helps push this video out to more people. And do remember that this is not financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any equities or options contracts, and all trading comes with risk. Now, as you already know, I will start with the word from God, and today's word comes from Proverbs 10:4, and it says, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." And that simply means if you want good results, then you have to put the work in and you have to take action. And that goes for taking action at times like this when the market starts getting more volatile and we start seeing those red days. That is not the time to sit around and do nothing. That is the time to plant your seeds so you can reap your harvest later and take advantage of the discounts. I'll never understand why the stock market is the only place in the entire world where people hate discounts. We brag about paying cheaper prices for anything else in the world, but as soon as a stock price drops, you're like, oh no, I don't want that. And that's not the way to go about it. We should be greedy when others are fearful. But speaking of people who are being greedy when others are fearful, I have to shout out members of the Trader Freedom community. So Linda here says, "Good morning. I haven't been as active in the community as I'd like the last month, but sharing my wins. I pulled out of October with gains of over $14,000 in one account and over $2,000 in my less active account. Big winners with SoFi, IRAN, QBTS, Hood, QQQ, and SPY." So Linda, shout out to you. And then on the comments, I said, "Oh, you've been holding out on us, huh?" And she said, "Was changing W-2 rows and family events, busy month, but the market was printing for me. Thanks for the clear, concise explanation of strategies. You've impacted my world and vision significantly." So Linda, super proud and happy for you. Then Justin says, "Didn't get a chance to close my trades at 50% today. Fortunately, they expired at 100%, $2,500 on the day. Thank you all for the continued support." And Justin is part of our Zero DTE community where we do day trading, and he's obviously doing amazing. And Zero DTE for us is like the ultimate hedge because even with the stock market going down, we are getting amazing gains. And so our accounts are actually increasing while the rest of the market is going down. And then we have Chandra here, who's also part of the Zero DTE community, said, "I am printing more money on red days than green days." And so they posted $890 of gains there. But then a few moments later, they had made another $1,020. So shout out to you. If you know anybody who would like to trade to freedom, tell them about the community. The link is below in the description. They'll get my trades. They'll get the course. They'll have full access to me, and they'll be within a community of other traders who all have the exact same goal. And so if you do know anybody, the link is below in the description. But with that, let's get down to business. Now, the stock I am going to be talking about today is none other than Google, ticker symbol GOOGL. And I have loved Google for a very, very long time, but I was very, very intrigued with Google much earlier in the year. And the reason for that is if I go ahead and I pull up the full year chart for Google, well, we can see after the whole little tariff drama dip here, it didn't really go anywhere for quite some time, although the rest of the market was pretty much going in a V-shaped recovery and just shooting up. And so there was a disconnect with Google and the market about what Google should be valued at. And part of the reason for that is people still believed that AI and ChatGPT and these other chatbots were going to destroy Google's business. And for the longest, I kept looking at Google's financials and listening to their earnings reports. And I'm like, well, their money just keeps going up quarter after quarter after quarter. Although AI is evolving even more, Google was still making even more. And so I really didn't understand why Google was not going up with the rest of the market. And so I was actually selling puts on Google throughout the majority of this time down here. And very sadly and unfortunately, I never got assigned the shares. Now, of course, eventually the market caught on and saw that Google will continuously make more and more money. And AI will actually be a benefit to Google and not a burden to it. And now people realize that Google will be one of the front runners when it comes to the AI build out altogether. And so I've been really, really loving Google for a very long time, but there are two things that have happened very recently that makes me even more bullish on it than I was before. And the first reason is my boy, Uncle Warren Buffett just made a massive $4 billion investment into Google. Now, $4 billion isn't a huge amount for Berkshire. However, the fact that they are investing in a technology company within and of itself is a pretty huge deal because historically, Warren and Berkshire had typically strayed away from technology companies. And although they have a huge investment into Apple, they have said that they did not make the investment based on their technology. And so the fact that they see something in Google makes me feel even better about a stock that I was already bullish on. And so if we scroll down here, we can see it says Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway continue to sell Apple stock, increasing the company's cash position to close to $400 billion. And so that lets you know something right then and there, that Warren does not see that many opportunities in the market currently. However, they do believe that Google is a huge opportunity. That is why they are investing their cash as of right now. Now, if we scroll down a little bit, the article kind of touches on things that I've already discussed. It says, after the launch of OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google and Apple were deemed AI losers by Wall Street. Even though Alphabet was on the cutting edge of AI research, it was losing ground and quickly to ChatGPT and its viral growth. Investors were concerned that the company's cash cow, Google search revenue, would decline potentially, leading to a weakening company. Today, it is clear these concerns were misguided. Alphabet has fought back aggressively against the AI startups with its own Gemini chatbot, which has rapidly grown to 650 million monthly active users, while the company implements new AI overviews for Google search results to improve the user value proposition. These AI developments enabled Google search revenue to grow close to 15% year over year last quarter to $56 billion. What has become a risk to the business is now an advantage. Alphabet keeps taking market share of AI chatbots and has wholly managed infrastructure and computer chips and data centers that enable it to rapidly scale up usage without breaking the bank. All right, so Uncle Warren definitely believes in Google. But if that wasn't enough by itself, the opportunity in self-driving cars, Google is just taking the throne. Like nobody else is even close, not even Tesla. And Tesla lovers, I come in peace. I love the product. I've owned several Teslas at this point, and I've seen the progression in their self-driving technology over the last 4 years. However, one thing you cannot argue with is numbers. And so if we take a look at this report here the article says, according to new data from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Tesla robotaxis, which still require a human safety monitor in the driver's seat, have been involved in 4 crashes since September. The most recent accident involved a robotaxi colliding with a fixed object in a parking lot, as first reported by Electric. Under Texas law, Tesla's self-driving cars must include a human safety monitor equipped with a kill switch to take control in case of emergency. But the requirement hasn't stopped multiple collisions from occurring. When compared to competitor Waymo, the results are striking. Tesla's autonomous vehicles have driven about 250,000 miles since June, while Waymo's have logged more than 125 million. Based on those numbers, Tesla robotaxis have crashed roughly once every 62,500 miles, while Waymo vehicles average one crash every 98,600 miles, despite having no human safety drivers on board. All right, now the numbers here that I want you to pay attention to is the 250,000 for Tesla versus the 125 million for Waymo, which is the company that is owned by Google. So Waymo has 500 times more miles driven by their products in the same time frame than Tesla. And Waymo just continuously keeps pushing forward because now they are also entering into new markets, being more states in the US and even other countries now. While Tesla, as of right now, I believe is still in just Texas. And so those are a few reasons that make me even more bullish on Google. But if we go ahead and look at the gamma exposure for Google, now we can see it has huge positive gamma exposure right at that $300 strike. All right, and so it's currently at 284. And so with all of this positive gamma, we could see it eventually just kind of drift closer and closer to that $300 mark. Now, obviously, this is barring any craziness in the market. But on the bullish side, I can see it going up to 300, then sticking around there for a little moment. And probably a near-term worst-case scenario, it would come down to this support level of around 250. As we can see, the negative gamma kind of kicks in much larger there. All right, but again, that's also without any horrible news for the total market. And speaking of that, here are the potential market movers for this week, right? We could have the Supreme Court decision on tariffs any day now. And then, of course, we have NVIDIA's earnings. And then on Thursday, we will have the September's jobs report. And so these two things right here, if all goes well, could really help out the market. But with all that information, let's go ahead into the Moomoo platform and look at a potential trade. But first, I have to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of this video, Moomoo. Now, beyond just being an amazing brokerage and one that has tools way better than most brokerages that I know, right now they have one of the most amazing sign-up offers as well. When you open up an account using the link below in the description, not only can you get up to $1,000 of NVIDIA stock, but you can also get up to an 8.1% APY on your idle funds. And that is just crazy. crazy. But what was just added, they added in an additional $100 cash reward. When you open up an account using my link below in the description, you will not find this anywhere else. So make sure that you take advantage of this. But on top of all of that, their mobile platform is next level. Taking a look at their mobile app, so you can see here, you can see a lot of general information such as earnings and earnings calendars and earnings beats and economic calendars. However, what I like most is this investment theme. So if we click on investment themes, here they categorize stocks based on what they're impacted by. And so what I like most is this one that's called Nancy Pelosi Portfolio. Now, if you're not familiar, Nancy Pelosi is a US Congresswoman, and she seems to always select the right stocks right at the right time. And so Moomoo conveniently put all the stocks that she is currently investing in right here on this list for you to see. And so if you just wanted to follow what Nancy Pelosi is doing, you could follow this investment theme in Moomoo. But go ahead, check it out. The link is below in the description. You can get up to 60 free stocks, and you can only get that with this link. So go ahead and click it, and you can thank me later. Now, here we are at the options chain. Now, if you want to play Google, you can obviously either trade the actual stock, or you can use a leveraged ETF. We have definitely utilized ticker symbol GGLL, which is a leveraged ETF for Google, but GGLL is a fraction of the price. So if you have a much smaller account, you can definitely utilize that. And I'll show you guys that, but just make sure you know all the pros and the cons of using a leveraged ETF because you want to use it responsibly. But looking here at Google, of course, like I said before, I was really trying to get assigned shares of the stock much earlier, but the stock slowly crept up. And so I never actually got assigned. But if this stock were to go on some sort of a pullback, I would want to be super aggressive with capturing shares. And so what I'll be doing here is just selling puts in order to get it at that cheaper price. And so I'd come over here and go anywhere to up to 45 days out. And so I'll select this date right here. That's 45 days. Now, oftentimes when I am doing any contract that is this far out, I'm usually never in it for that duration. Normally, when I go about 45 days out, I'm usually exiting a trade for profit around 3 weeks or so, and sometimes even sooner than that. So don't see the 45 days and get scared. There is money to be made there. Now, if we look over here at the expected move, is plus or minus $25. Now, the expected move is just the largest move that the option market currently has priced in for that stock by that specific date. And so they're saying plus or minus Google could go up $25, it could drop $25, but that is the expected move as we speak. And so if I subtract this $25 from this $284 that it is currently, then that'll put us around $260. And then from there, I'll probably be a little bit more conservative. Maybe I want to come to this $255. All right. And that'll get me really close to that $250 support level that we looked at with the gamma exposure. And so we can see that strike is paying anywhere between $330 to $385 per contract right here, right now. And so that's really good. We can go ahead and select that if that is what we wanted to do. But what if you are just looking to solely trade Google and you did not want to actually buy shares and get assigned the shares? Well, you could turn it into a credit spread so that you're using up less buying power, but you would want to make sure to exit the trade if Google stock were to drop below your short strike, as you still have the risk of assignment. So if I wanted to turn this into a credit spread, I could come over here and buy to open any put less than $255. And so let's say we want to make it a $20 wide credit spread. I come up here to this $235 strike and buy to open that one. And so that does a few things. One, it lessens the amount that we'll make, right? We went from making like $350 so to now making 220. But the positive is it greatly reduces the amount of money that you need to put on the trade, right? We can see here the max loss would be $1,779 per contract. And that is also the amount that you would need in order to put on the trade. And so that is a way for people with smaller accounts to also trade Google as well. However, if you want to take it a step further, then you could utilize, like I said, the leveraged ETF like GGLL. As we can see, this stock is currently $84. All right, so it's about 3 times smaller than the stock price of Google by itself, but it is a 2x leveraged ETF to Google. So if Google moves up 1% for the day, GGLL will move up 2%. And if Google drops 1% for the day, then GGLL will move down 2%. But that is Google. I'm absolutely loving this company right now. And Google is the best at making money. Google is the only company in 2024 that brought in over $100 billion of net income. And so I'm loving Google now for all of those reasons mentioned. Let me know down in the comments below if you like Google and if you're trading it currently. And as always, if you would like to come trade to freedom with me, the link is below in the description. But with that, I will see you guys on the next one. Peace!